There's a lot of choice when it comes to shuttles, but what should you be using? Well, in this video, we're going to help you with that decision, as it's not as simple as you might think. So we're going to break down the different types of feather shuttles, look at the features you need to consider before buying, do a comparison test of over 10 types of shuttles at different prices, and we'll also share what we use. So let's get straight into it.
So there are 3 different types of shuttles: feathers, plastic, and a newer hybrid. But 68% of you use feather shuttles, so that's what we're going to focus on in this video. And that's also where our expertise lies, as we've used feather shuttles from a lot of different brands over the last 20 years in training, clubs, coaching, and professional tournaments.
Now, there are 2 big disadvantages of feather shuttles compared to plastics and even hybrids. One is the durability, and the second is the cost, but we'll come back to both of those later in the video.
But there are some big advantages, which in our opinion outweigh the disadvantages. These are the control you can get, the feel off your strings, and the amazing sound. And with the right shuttle, if you can avoid mishitting it, we found that it can easily last a 1-hour session.
But that's a key phrase, the right shuttle. So let's move on to the features you need to consider when deciding what feather shuttles you should buy, because there's a lot of choice out there.
So we've got 4 main features you need to consider. And first is the shuttle speed. There are actually 5 different categories of shuttle speed, going from 75, which is the slowest, up to 79, which is the fastest. And to make it slightly more confusing, brands like Yonex use their own system, where speed 1 is the slowest, going up to speed 5, which is the fastest.
So which speed is best? Well, it depends on a few things, but most importantly, the altitude you're playing at and the temperature. So, if you're playing in really hot temperatures or high altitudes, these playing conditions tend to speed up the shuttle. So you'd opt for a slower 76 or 77 speed, or in extreme circumstances, the 75. If you don't do this, then you might be wondering why your smash feels 10 times more powerful, or why all of your shots are flying out the back.
On the other end of the spectrum, you'd opt for speed 78 or 79 if you're playing in colder or more air-conditioned courts, or you're below sea level. But generally, the most common speeds are 77 and 78.
Okay, moving on. The second factor to consider is the price. One tube of 12 shuttles can cost up to £35, but you can get tubes for less than £15. And stay tuned to the next section of this video to see how much better these expensive shuttles actually are.
The third feature to consider is the durability. How long does each shuttle typically last for? Well, this can depend on a few things. The level you play at, as beginners tend to mishit the shuttle more, meaning they break more feathers. The style of play, as if you hit lots of powerful drives and smashes, the shuttles won't last as long. And the storage conditions. For example, if you're leaving shuttles in a really dry space, then the feathers can dry out and become brittle, which again reduces how long they last.
The fourth feature to consider is the feel and control of the shuttle. What we mean by this is how does it feel when you play with it? Does the shuttle wobble and bobble? Some new shuttles might feel like they're coming off your racket really weirdly, and it's hard to play accurate shots.
So, keeping these 4 features in mind, with over 50 different types of shuttles on the market, what should you actually buy? And how much better are the £35 tubes compared to the cheaper ones? Well, we're now going to compare 10 types of shuttles at various price points, ranging from just £5 per tube all the way up to £35.
For each shuttle, we're going to do 2 tests. A durability test. If we hit each shuttle 500 times in a variety of drills, how long will they last? And an accuracy test. Are the expensive shuttles going to help you play better and more accurate shots?
And a couple of quick disclaimers before we get started. These aren't scientific tests because we're not robots, but we'll do our best to test all of the shuttles both fairly and consistently.
Also, we're obviously not going to test all of the shuttles you can buy worldwide, but we've tried to choose a selection from different well-known brands that we could get at different price points here in the UK, and they're all speed 78. Okay, disclaimers out of the way, let's get started with a £5 tube from Drafon.
Alright, this tube is kind of a joke. We actually bought this from a supermarket in Kuala Lumpur, as we couldn't believe a tube of feather shuttles was this cheap. But we opened them and it gave us a good laugh, but we're not going to bother testing them. They've already failed both tests. Now, let's go into the testing.
Okay, first up we have the Yonex tournament shuttles at £16 per tube.
So, to test the durability of each shuttle, we're doing 150 shots of rear mid, 100 shots of net tees, 150 shots of defence and 100 shots of drop push. After hitting this shuttle 500 times, you can see it's no longer circular and the feathers are a bit fluffed up. Okay, next up is the Li-Ning G800, which was £17 for the tube.
Okay, the Li-Ning G800 didn't break and it held its shape quite well, but it went so fluffy. This one's fluffed up a lot and we've still got 150 shots to go. When it gets this fluffy, it means the shuttle massively slows down and it feels really different to how a brand new one would, which can be quite hard to deal with in a match.
Okay, tube number 3 is the Babolat number 2s at £19 per tube. Okay, we've got a bit of a feather breakage there, right at the end of the 500 shots.
Next, we have the Yonex AS30 at £22 per tube. Our first change after only 150 shots. It's not broken, like a feather's not broken, but it's completely misshapen.
The second AS30 held its shape much better for the remaining 350 shots, but that might be because we'd finished all of the smashing. And it's worth noting that neither of us have mishit any shuttles so far, which is often what causes the feathers to break.
Next up, Forza VIP at £24 per tube. Another shuttle that's squashed and it's not flying properly at all, so we're going to have to change it.
One thing we're noticing with all of the shuttles we've tested so far is that they're losing their shape quite easily and fluffing up a lot. We wonder if this is going to continue happening with the more expensive shuttles.
And by the way, for those wondering, yes, we have paid for all of the shuttles used in this video. So if you're enjoying it and want to help support the channel, then check out our Patreon, where you can also access lots of benefits. We'll leave a link in the description below.
Our next tube is the Yonex AS40 at £26 a tube. After 150 shots, this is definitely the least fluffy we've had so far.
And here's the shuttle at the end of the 500 shots. Next we have Victor Gold Champion at £30 per tube.
After hitting the shuttle 500 times, it's held its shape very well and just had one small break to this feather here.
Next tube is the Yonex AS50 at £32 a tube. That's double the price of the first tube we tested. So as you can see, the Yonex AS50 has kept its shape and all the feathers are intact. Next is the Victor Master Ace at £35 per tube. After hitting this shuttle 500 times, the Master Ace hasn't really fluffed up and has held its shape really well.
So, are the shuttles that are 2 times more expensive than others 2 times as durable? Well, we found they were half as fluffy, and the 2 most expensive were definitely in the best condition after 500 shots.
Whilst we didn't completely break any feathers, as we didn't mishit many shots, we did notice that the cheaper shuttles lost their shape a lot easier. But what about the accuracy? Will the expensive shuttles help us play better and more accurate shots? To test this, we're going to hit 20 lifts, 20 net shots, 20 serves and 20 smashes with each shuttle.
Okay, so we've just finished the accuracy test, and generally we noticed that the shuttles at the cheaper end bobbled more and we felt like we had less control, especially with our net shots and serves. With the more expensive shuttles, like the Master Ace and AS50s, we both felt we could play higher quality and more consistent shots. We also noticed that even though they were all speed 78s, the Babolat 2s and the Forza VIPs were quite a bit quicker. That was fast.
As we mentioned at the start of this video, we've used a lot of different shuttles from a lot of different brands. And for our own training, we used the Victor Master Ace. Full disclosure, we are sponsored by Victor, but for us, we found these last over 3 times as long as various other cheaper ones, and of course, aren't 3 times the price.
It's also worth mentioning that if you can, it's better to practice with shuttles that you compete with to get used to the feel of the shuttle. A lot of international tournaments use the Master Ace, so this works well for us.
But if you choose what shuttles you play your matches with, then we'd recommend trying these tests out yourself. Maybe try a more expensive tube and see how much longer this lasts for you. Because, as we've said, the durability depends on your level and playing style. If the shuttle lasts double as long but isn't double the price, then it might be worth the investment. If you appreciate us hitting almost 6,000 shots and filming for over 9 hours for this video, then please give it a like. And also, we're keeping a close eye on the adoption of the new synthetic shuttles, which will of course keep you updated on. So make sure you smash the subscribe button so you don't miss out on that, and we'll see you on another video very soon.